Hey guys, my name is Gracie and you're watching Gracie Review. And we will continue with these tips until you get a 10 in English. So, today I'm going to show you guys when is the best time to study to learn English in the day and what food would help your brain to function 100%. Okay? Sounds good? Let's start. 4 types of foods to support memory. If you're feeling forgetful, it could be due to a lack of sleep or a number of other reasons, including genetics, level of physical activities, and lifestyle and environmental factors. However, there is no doubt that diet also plays a role in brain health. The best menu for supporting memory and brain function encourages good blood flow to the brain, much like what would you eat to nourish and protect your heart. Research is finding the diet may help keep aging brains sharp, and a growing body of evidence links foods such as those in the Mediterranean diet with better cognitive function, memory, and alertness. Strengthen recall by adding these foods to the rotation. Eat your veggies. You're not likely to forget this message. Getting adequate vegetable, especially cruciferous ones, including broccoli, cabbage, and dark leafy greens, may help improve memory. Try a kale salad or substitute collard greens for a tortilla in your next sandwich wrap. Broccoli stir fry also is an excellent option for lunch or dinner. Be sweet on berries and cherries. Berries, especially dark ones such as blackberries and blueberries, as well as cherries, are a source of anthocyanids and flavonoids that may support memory function. Enjoy a handful of berries or pit cherries for a snack. Mix into cereal or bake into an antioxidant-rich dessert. You can reap these benefits from fresh, frozen, or dry berries and cherries. Get adequate omega 3 fatty acids. Essentials for good brain health: omega 3 fatty acids, or DHA in particular, may help improve memory. Seafood and fatty fish, including salmon, and bluefin tuna, sardines, and herring are some of the best sources of the omega-3 fatty acids, DHA. Substitute fish for other meats once or twice a week to get a healthy dose. Grill, bake, or broil fish for ultimate flavor and nutrition. Try salmon tacos with red cabbage slaw. Snack or sardines, or enjoy stirred tuna on salad greens for dinner. If you don't eat fish, discuss other food options or supplementation with your doctor or registered dietitian nutritionist. You can get DHA omega-3 fatty acids from fish oil, seaweed, or microalgae supplements. Work in walnuts. Well known for a positive impact on heart health, walnuts also may improve cognitive function. Snack or on a handful of walnuts to satisfy midday hunger. Add them to oatmeal or salad or for crunch, or mix them into a vegetable stir fry for extra protein. While there is no guarantee that these foods will help you remember where you put your keys tomorrow, over time they can support lifelong good health. Russian sentenced a prominent journalist to 22 years in prison on treason charges. A Russian court on Monday sentenced a former journalist to 22 years in a high-security prison on 2 counts of treason, signaling a new level of repression against the free press in Russia and provoking an outcry in the journalism community. Even 32, a former defense reporter for the Kommersant and Vedomosti newspaper, was arrested in July 2020 on his way to work in Moscow and accused of disclosing state secrets to representatives of foreign intelligence services. 2 months before his arrest, he had quit his job in the news media to become an advisor to the head of Russia's space agency, Roscosmos, but the agency said the charges related to his work as a journalist. The severity of the sentence, announced in a statement by the Westminster Court in Moscow, provoked a furious response. On Tuesday, where Mr. Safarov launched his career and became a star defense reporter, boldly chose to print a letter of support for Mr. Safarov on its front page, saying that its staff members remember it every day that they couldn't help. We haven't heard any public proof of your guilt, the letter addresses to Mr. Safarov's current residence in the infamous Lefortovo prison in Moscow. Said, we are confident in any other situation you would get acquitted, the letter said. We are waiting for you, it added. A business daily that has striven to become Russian newspaper of record, the Crossman is owned by Alisher, a businessman with links to the Kremlin. Newspaper has walked a fine line between preserving a degree of independence and avoiding the fate of other Russian publications that have been shut down under political pressures of the government. In a highly secretive case, Russian prosecutors said Mr. Safarov has disclosed state secrets about Russian arms sales to a journalist who worked for the Czech Republic Foreign Intelligence Arm. According to his lawyer, he was also accused of sharing unspecified secrets about Russia's involvement in the war in Syria with the political scientist from Germany, according to even his lawyer. Mr. Safarov denied the accusations, saying that his reporting had relied on information only obtained from sources available to the public. He refused to enter a plea deal with prosecution, his lawyer said. The sentencing sent chills through the Russian journalism community, which has been under heavy pressure since the government outlawed the publications of anything that deviates from the Kremlin line on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Another member of Mr. Savanor's legal team said that the case had a colossal cooling effect on journalists in Russia, especially those covering defense and the military-industrial complex, and that Mr. Savanor's defense team would file an appeal. Mr. Savarov said that the defense team believed that apart from trying to send a message to Russian journalists, the government was seeking retributions against Mr. Safarov for revealing Russia's plans to sell fighter jets to Egypt. Soon after, Mrs. Safarov published an article in 2019 about $2 billion deal. The United States threatened to impose sanctions on Carol. Mr. Smirnov and Mr. Pavel both fled Russia in 2021. After being involved in Mr. Savanor's case, a third lawyer, Dmitry Talantov, was arrested in June and charged with spreading false information about the Russian army. At the end of 2022, President Vladimir Putin said that Mr. Savanor's case has nothing to do with his journalistic work and that no one could be charged with treason for using publicly available information. It cannot be allowed, he said. A Russian human rights lawyer said that he could not find any precedent for such a harsh sentence on charges like Mr. Savanor, calling it a savage, demonstratively cruel punishment corresponding to the current state of Russia. Judge order for Trump special master is deeply flawed, legal experts say. Analysts said that Judge Alan Cannon's ruling will be difficult for federal investigators to carry out, but an appeal could slow the Justice Department probe to a likely crawl. A judge ordered approving a special master to reveal documents the FBI took from former President Donald Trump's Florida home is a deeply flawed and unworkable mess, a legal expert told NBC News on Tuesday. U.S. District Judge Alan Cannon on Monday granted Trump's request to have a special master review all the evidence seized last month from his Mar-a-Lago estate and temporarily block parts of the Justice Department's investigation into the trove of top secret and classified documents retrieved by federal agents. Cannon, 41, a Trump appointee, also put forth legal defense arguments that Trump's team had made, among them that the former president could suffer reputational injury if the Justice Department indicted him. Legal experts blast the overall ruling and question how it could be implemented, while warning that an appeal by the government could drag the investigation out further. I think it's the corrupt decisions. I think it's a special law for Donald Trump by Trump appointee, and it is more from precedent insupportable and in law will not be approved of by anybody who isn't a Trump fanatic, said Paul, a Department of Homeland Security official under former President George. It is supremely disappointing because up until now the courts have been the last bulwark against excess, and this decisions suggest that at least some of Trump's judges put loyalty to the man over loyalty to the rule of law, and that deeply unfortunate, said Rosenberg, who was senior counsel to Ken Starr, the independent counsel who investigated President Bill Clinton. Bradley Moss, a lawyer who specialized in national security issues, said that Cannon's decision is not well found in any law or legal theory, and that it includes far better advocacy for the former president's legal positions than anything his actual lawyers put forward. My view is that at a minimum, the Justice Department is going to have to appeal. That the part of the order that temporarily stopped the Justice Department from using the seized documents to proceed with its criminal investigation, Moss said. But he cautioned an appeal is no easy path. The 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which would hear any appeal in this case, has taken a particular conservative turn, and the U.S. Supreme Court is 6-3 in favor the conservatives. Moss said it's not a foregone conclusion they would win on appeal. Brandon Van Crack, a former counter-espionage prosecutor who worked on special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election, said that there would be a strong impulse to appeal, especially because the criminal investigation by the Justice Department and the damage assessment by the Office of the Director of Nation Intelligence are likely going hand in hand and can be bifurcated. Part of Cannon's order gave the Office of the Director of National Intelligence permission to continue its review of documents for a damage assessment process the Justice Department has been playing a role in. The criminal investigation is informing the intelligence investigation, Van Grack said, adding the Justice Department investigators have likely been doing fingerprint searches on the classified document to determine who handed them, a key step in determining how much they might have circulated. Cannon ruling could also block investigators from asking witnesses about who had access to the documents. It will delay and impair the investigation, Van Grack said. They won't have complete information. Legal experts also took issue with Cannon saying the special master should review the documents for potential executive privilege claims instead of limiting the examination to traditional attorney-client issues. Trump's team has argued that a special master, essentially a neutral third party appointed to the court, was necessary because they couldn't rely on the so-called filter team the Justice Department used to separate out privileged documents, saying they couldn't be expected to trust the self-restraint of currently unchecked investigators. The Justice Department contents executive privilege isn't up for debate because the signed documents don't belong to Trump. He's no longer the president, and because he's no longer the president, he had no right to those documents, Justice Department lawyer Jay Brad told the judge at a hearing last week. Rosenzweig agreed, calling it absurd that a special master should be searching out potential executive privilege issues. I don't think there is a good roadmap. Nothing's there, nobody of law on executive privilege for a special master. I don't know how a special master would proceed, which means inevitable delay and dispute, he said. Even some of Trump's former allies backed Cannon ruling. The opinion, I think, was wrong, and I think the government should appeal it. It deeply flawed in a number of ways, former Attorney General William Barr said in an interview with Fox News. I don't think the appointment of special master is going to hold up, and even if it does, I don't see it fundamentally changing the trajectory. I don't think it changes the ball game so much as maybe we will have rain delay for a couple of innings. Barr said the 11th Circuit could expedite the appeal, but he acknowledged it could take several months to straighten out. NBC News legal analyst Chuck Rosenberg, a former U.S. attorney, said there seems to be a trade-off between appealing a poorly reasoned judicial decisions on one hand and further delaying a part of their investigation on the other. In the end, the government will very likely to get to which is entitled one way or the other, but the path forward looks a bit murky. Trump's lawyers and the Justice Department are expected to submit a joint filing to the judge naming potential special master by Friday. George Washington University law professor Stephen Stolberg, a former Justice Department official, said whoever is chosen is going to have an incredibly high security clearance now or obtain one in very short period of time. He also predicted that whoever gets picked would be able to work fairly quickly. Stolberg, who has worked as a special master, said the reason judges generally want special master is that they want a review to be done quickly and thoroughly, and they don't have the time to do it themselves. For some legal analysts, the unique situation unfolding in this case means it's impossible to have a clear view of the road ahead. Kel McLennan, the executive director of National Security Counselors, a nonprofit law firm called the Judge Order, a novel interpretation of the law, making it impossible to know how the case will shake out. The word unprecedented gets thrown around a lot, especially in this case, but this case is literally unprecedented. Ms. McClanahan said it's not about anything that we ever dealt with before. As a result, using the past to inform what will happen next is a crapshoot. Canadian police continue to search for a mass killing suspect and urge caution, and urge caution. Miles Sanderson's remained at large Tuesday as police said he was not on James Smith cremation, where many of the victims were found Sunday. Resident of Canada's Saskatchewan province were urged to stay cautious Tuesday as one of two suspects in Sunday mass killing remained at large. A sighting of Miles Sanderson's 30 was reported on the James Smith's cremation north of Melfort, but the Royal Canadian Mounted Police or RCMP said he was nowhere to be found, and investigators didn't believe he was there Tuesday evening. As the whereabouts of Miles Sanderson remain unknown, the emergency alert is active for the entire province, and we continue to urge the public to take appropriate precautions, the RCMP said in a statement Tuesday. The alert was issued after 10 people were killed and 17 were injured in one of the worst outbreaks of violence in Saskatchewan history. The victims, some of whom have been identified, were found on the James Smith cremation, and in the village of Weldon, authority says. On Monday, Assistant Commissioner Rhonda Blackmore, the commanding officer of this Saskatchewan RCMP, said at a news conference that the cause of death hadn't been established. We believe the victims were stabbed, but that is still being confirmed, she said. After the violent Sunday morning, police quickly named Miles Sanderson and Damon Sanderson, 31, his brother, as suspect. They haven't said why. Police said Monday that Damon Sanderson had been found dead on the James Smith cremation of unspecified injuries. A vehicle associated with the duo, a black Nissan, broke with Saskatchewan plate 119 MPI remain unaccounted for. Of the 17 people injured in Sunday attacks, 10 remain hospitalized Tuesday, 3 of whom were said to be in critical condition, according to the Saskatchewan Health Authority. Among the deceased who have been identified was Earl Burns, a veteran, said in a statement that it has sent sincere condolences to his survivors. The death of Lana Head, 49, was confirmed to the Canadian Broadcasting Company by her former partner, Michael Brett Burns. He also left behind 2 adult daughters. Gloria Burns, 62, worked at the James Smith Cremation Health Clinic and was responding to a crisis call when she was killed, the CBC reported. The Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations planned a news conference about the attack Thursday. Chief Bobby Cameron of the Federation said in the statement that the attacks have caused widespread unease, stress, and panic. We are pleading to all of the people of Saskatchewan to share any relevant information you may have. He said, someone out there knows something. We beg you to come forward. For the sake of the families and communities and share that information with the authorities. Mystery Mystery of woman who went to ER and vanished 32 years ago solved. Middle Brown went to a hospital in Brooklyn in 1990 and was never heard from again. Her family was finally able to hold a virtual memorial for her. Ebony Brown remembers the day her mother, Myrtle Brown, went missing. It was 1990 and she was 30 years old. 13 years old. That May, Myrtle Brown was in New York visiting her best friend, and when her purse was stolen along with her epilepsy medication and identification, she told her family she was not feeling well and went to the emergency room at the Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn to get a medication refill. She ended up going by herself, Ebony Brown said, and then that was the last moment, we ever heard from her. For weeks, Ebony's grandmother and family members visited local police, prison, and hospital, but found no answer. I never thought she passed away, Ebony said. I thought maybe she just wanted something different, maybe out of life. I didn't know, to be honest. I was just confused and sad. Nearly 32 years later, in April, Murder Brothers Robert Brown was watching NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt when it aired a profile of the cold case squad at the New York City office of Chief Medical Examiner, led by Dr. Angela Soler, Assistant Director of the team managers. The team managed nearly 1,250 unidentified person cases, most of them tracking back decades, many to the 90s. Within the report, Brown spotted a picture of a missing person poster of a facial reconstruction, a tool used by the team to draw public attention to cases by recreating facial features via a clay model. I saw a young lady that could be or could not have been my sister, he said, and I said to myself, wow, I wonder if that could be her. 2 days later, Brown and his wife called the medical examiner office, and Soler and her team began working on Murder Brown case. I took a look at the reconstruction and noticed, okay, I'm probably looking for a middle-aged black woman, Soler said. It all matched with what the family was telling us, and we were also informed that she went missing in May of 90. So I knew exactly where to start my search. For nearly 2 months, Soler reviewed over 2 weeks of records of unverified unknowns or missing people with a potential name that has not been verified or confirmed. She started her search from May 1999 until she found what she believed was a presumptive match to Myrtle Brown on May 17, 1990. The unidentified person in the recreation was not Myrtle. In this instant, the contextual information included the day that she passed away. Soler said she passed away in Brooklyn, which matched the family telling me that she used to receive medical care in Brooklyn. She had a presumptive name that matched, a presumptive date of birth that matched, and the family had given some medical information about their missing loved one that also matched what was in the case file. Robert Brown then received a call from Soler that he had been waiting for 3 decades. Robert, I think we found your sister, Brown said, recalling what Soler told him. I said, what? She said, I think we found your sister. Ebony was also on the call as Soler shared the information. she found in the case file. She asked if she could send them a photograph of the deceased person to confirm it was Maro. She sent a photo to both of us, and it took me a second to realize that it's her. Robert said. Ebony said the photograph took her back 30 years. As soon as I saw the photo, just you knew it was her, he said. Myrtle, who was 35, was never registered or admitted to Kings County Hospital, but the family learned that she had been waiting in the emergency room when she had a Caesar and died. Caesar and died. The only information Myrtle gave to the hospital was her name and the date of birth. The Browns were able to hold a virtual memorial for Myrtle and Robert, and Ebony said their family was at peace finally knowing that what happened to their beloved sister and mother. Solar said he hoped the Browns' experience would encourage other families with missing loved ones to step forward. Even though it didn't end up being the individual the recreation was based on, it helped us resolve a case, Solar said. It made a difference, and that's the whole point, is to get people to stop and think for a moment and follow through and give us a phone call. Unveiled students returned to school for the first time after a mass shooting that killed 21st. I want to just shelter her as a mom, just keep her home. But of course I don't want her to live in fear, said the mother of one student in Texas community. Students and teachers returned to school Tuesday in the heartbroken community of Uvalde, Texas, for the first time since 19 children and 2 educators were killed during a mass shooting at an elementary school in May. As children return to the classroom, the town continues to mourn those who were killed and demand accountability in deadly shooting at Robb Elementary School, during which law enforcement officers waited more than an hour before entering a 4th-grade classroom where the gunman carried out the attack. The first day brought anguish for parents whose children died in the massacre. Stephen Gracy, whose 9-year-old daughter Elena was killed, said he was an emotional wreck Tuesday morning and felt a surge of anger. I couldn't find the tears, but then I thought back to my Ellie and know she wouldn't want me to feel that way, he wrote in a post on social media. Thinking of all the first day of school with my Ellie, no one expected to have to bury their child after leaving them at school, he said in another post. Jennifer Lugo, Ellie's mother, said in a post the night before the first day of school that her stomach was in a big knot, and she was sure the family would be leaving the house with tears and not smiles. I'm missing one of my babies, she said, adding that Ellie loved school and was always excited to get up and get ready with her sister. Kimberly and Felix Rubio, whose daughter Lexi was killed, said ahead of the first day of school that they were frightened for their 5 other children. I don't know that the school district has done everything that I would like to see as far as security measures, but I also know it's important for the kids to have some sort of routine, so trying to balance what's best for them, Kimberly said. Lexi has been on her mind, she said, and meeting her youngest son's teacher was incredibly difficult. It's incredibly difficult to go on campus knowing that Lexi is not going to be meeting a teacher this year, Kimberly said. Students across the state were marooned to school Tuesday in support of the UVA community. Robb Elementary has not reopened since the shooting, and its surviving student has been scattered to different schools in the area. The school district also added virtual options this year for parents who didn't feel comfortable sending their children back into a classroom. Parents arriving at some local school Tuesday morning were greeted with taller fences, increased security and cameras, a large law enforcement presence, more counselors, and even emotional support dogs. Outside Dalton Elementary School in Uvalde, Esther said that one of her children had attended Robb Elementary at the time of the shooting and had received counseling because she was traumatized. But Natalie, whose children are 7 and 8 years old, says she felt safer with the added security measure. I'm on the positive side, so I hope that what happened last year won't happen again, she said. For right now, I think they are in good hands. Pre-kindergarten teacher Belinda Remise says she wasn't nervous about the start of the school year in the shadow of the tragedy. She's happy that school is starting again, but also just a bit sad for the kids, she said. Her nephew attended Robb Elementary last school year. We asked him and he just stayed quiet. So I know he's a bit nervous, but we are happy that school is starting back up and when we start, I would think it will get all better, she said. We have to just continue to move forward. Late last month, Uvalde School Police Chief Pete Arredondo was fired by the Texas City's school board, which voted anonymously to oust him. The embattled chief removed capped 3 months of outrage over the botched law enforcement response to the shooting at Robb Elementary. 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 8 seconds passed from the time police entered the building May 24 until the gunman was killed, Texas Department of Public Safety Director Steve McCraw has said. A scathing report released in July by Texas House Committee investigating the mass shooting found systemic failures and poor decision making by law enforcement and the school district. And her husband Julio have made helping their 10-year-old daughters return to school a priority. The girl, Madison, was at Robb Elementary the day of the shooting. The family has enrolled Madison in a private school, which they say made safety upgrades after the shooting. I want to just shelter her as a mom and just keep her home, but of course, I don't want her to live in fear, she said. Here's what you need to know about Liz Truss, Britain's new leader. Sometime compared to the UK's first female leader, Margaret Thatcher, Truss has also been accused of being a political killman. London as a girl and a young woman, Liz Truss protests against then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and called for the abolition of the monarchy. Decades later, having risen through the ranks of Thatcher's Conservative Party, Truss, 47, on Tuesday was appointed to the United Kingdom Prime Minister by Queen Elizabeth II. As she headed to No 10 Downing Street, Truss looks eager to rule in the image of the famously blunt and strong-willed iconoclast whose legacy still divides this country. Her victory means she will become the country's third female leader, after Thatcher and Theresa May. The Iron Lady, as Thatcher was known, was the 20th century's longest-serving British leader and birthed an ideology, Thatcherism, that still dominates the party with its low tax, high-growth economic liberalism. Serving as primer from 1979 to 1990. When she was forced to resign by her own government, Thatcher was a strident coal warrior and a supporter of free markets, and especially close to President Ronald Reagan, one of Britain's most divisive prime minister, revile and in almost equal measure to this day. She's best known for her policies. She's best known for her policy on deregulation, privatizing state-owned companies, and smashing the power of unions. She died in 2013. Whether international or not, observers and the public have pointed out Truss appears to have a habit of recreating iconic Thatcher public appearance. While serving as Foreign Secretary, Truss was accused of consciously mirroring Thatcher by posing in a Challenger 2 tank while visiting British troops in Estonia. A famous picture of Thatcher in the Challenger tank in Germany in 1986, when visiting Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov at the Kremlin in February. She wore a fox for a hat that again was compared to that worn by Thatcher on a Russia trip in 1987. During the Conservative leadership contest, Truss wore an outfit strikingly similar to one Thatcher had worn for an election broadcast in 1979, a black blazer and a white shirt with a bow tie at the front. For Truss critics, the similarities to Thatcher's are the best premature and worst ludicrous. I don't think there is anything in it. They're completely different people. Truss supporter Andrea Andino, 55, insisted outside the venue where Truss was announced the new leader of the Conservative Party on Monday. Andino wore a t-shirt in Liz with Truss. She's different. I don't think she will follow Thatcher in any way, she added. Timothy Kirkhope, a Conservative member of the upper chamber of the British Parliament, also dismissed the comparison, but for different reasons. I regard any comparison between Truss and Thatcher as derisory, he said in an email. I worked as a government whip under Margaret Thatcher. She was a colossus in politics. There is absolutely no way that Truss could ever get anywhere near the achievements of Thatcher, he said. Truss herself complained to BBC Radio 4 in July that women tend to get compared to Thatcher whether they resemble her or not. I'm on my own person, she said. James Cleverly, who served as education minister under Boris Johnson, echoes these sentiments. She's a woman in politics, though comparisons are inevitable, and he said, she is Liz Truss, she's her own person. To those of us who have studied Thatcher, she's hardly in the same league, at least on current form, said Professor Tim Bell, an expert on British politics and the Conservative Party at Queen Mary University of London. While Thatcher was regarded then and now was a conviction politician who embodied her beliefs, Truss has been accused of being a political chameleon, flip-flopping on major policies and criticized for lacking hard and fast principles. She was an activist for the centrist Liberal Democrat Party as a college student. We do not believe people are born to be ruled. She said while arguing passionately for the abolition of the monarchy at the party conference in 1994, a testament to just how far she has traveled politically. Truss campaigned for Britain to remain in the European Union, only flip side and later support Brexit once the country has voted to leave in 2016. The commitment to Brexit and unlocking its supposed benefits is now a core pillar of her platform, an attitude that could lead to a heated and expensive legal battle with the European Union and the Republic of Ireland over the complex of Northern Ireland Protocol. While Truss said during the Brexit referendum campaign that Britain shouldn't spend years in massive divorce from Europe. She may be about to preside over exactly this. Born in Oxford in 1975, Mary Elizabeth Truss is the daughter of John Kenneth, a math professor at the University of Leeds, and Priscilla Truss, a nurse. In the biography section of her website, she described her parents as left wing. When she was four, the family relocated to Paisley, a town near Glasgow in Scotland. They moved again in 1985 to the northern English city of Leeds in West Yorkshire. Truss frequently refers to herself as a Yorkshire woman. Yorkshire woman, a falsy attempt to contract her upbringing with the largely affluent Southern English background of many conservative members and activists. Throughout her leadership campaign, Truss said her vision of conservatism was inspired by seeing fellow students at the local public high school struggling in an overly bureaucratic filling system. Many of the children I was at school with were let down by low expectations, poor education standards, and a lack of opportunity, she said at her leadership launch July 14. Former student and staff at Raleigh and also local politicians dispute Truss' portrayal, accusing her of unfairly mangling the school for political gain. It is located in one of the most affluent areas of Leeds, and it certainly could never be described fairly as a sink school, he said via email, referring to British terminology for a failing and underachieving school. Her contentions about her deprived background as the daughter of the university professor are a load of nonsense, Crithope said. After graduating from Oxford in 1969, she abandoned the Liberal Democrats and joined the Conservative Party, the dismay of her left-leaning father. He was quite horrified, she told the Times newspaper in 2012. After college, Truss worked as a graduate trainee accountant for the energy giant Shell and later the, the telecommunications company Cable and Wireless. In 2000, she married fellow accountant Hugh O'Leary, and they have two daughters. After a youth of on the center-left university prime trust for conservation to the right, I met Tories and I realized that they didn't have two heads and were actually good people, she told the Daily Mail in 2019. Truss stood as a Tory candidate in the election of 2001 and 2005, losing both times. It would take another 5 years before she was finally elected as the MP for South West Norfolk. Truss has served in various cabinet positions since 2012 under the governments of David Cameron, Theresa May, and Johnson. It was under Johnson that she was promoted to foreign minister, one of the most powerful positions in government. Truss was leading the transitions to a post-Brexit trading rim and forging new diplomatic ties. The Conservative Party may have ditched Johnson, but his brand of populism looks set to stay under the new prime minister. She stayed loyal to Johnson. She told the membership that they want to hear on the economy and taxations rather than any hard truths. She is a fierce Brexiteer and an anti-woke warrior, Bell said. Truss may be compared to Thatcher, but her critics believe she has much more in common with her predecessor. I regret that a Liz Truss premiership would be a continuation of the Boris Johnson style. Kipper said, a Truss government would be even more divisive and include individuals who are notable only for their extreme or eccentric view, he said. Steve Bannon expected to face state indictment in New York, the Manhattan DA office had opened an investigation into Bannon in connection with his role in a charity that was supposed to use private funds to build the U.S.-Mexico border wall. Almost 2 years after he received a pardon from President Donald Trump in a federal fraud case, Steve Bannon is expected to face state indictment in New York. In a segment first shared with NBC News on Tuesday night, Bannon said New York has now decided to pursue phony charges against me 60 days before the midterm election. This is nothing more than a Persian political weaponization of the criminal justice system, added Bannon, who once was the chief of White House strategist in the Trump administration. The statement came after the Washington Post, citing people familiar with the situation, reported that Bannon planned to surrender Thursday. NBC News has asked the Manhattan District Attorney Office for comment. The district attorney office last year opened an investigation into Bannon in connection with his role in a charity that was supposed to use private funds to build the U.S.-Mexico border wall, NBC News reported in February 2021. The previous year, Bannon was indicted with 3 other people on charges of taking money donated to help build a wall along the southern border. Federal prosecutors alleged that Bannon's We Build the Wall campaign, which raised more than $25 million, defrauded hundreds of thousands of donors who contributed to an effort to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, one of Trump's key campaign promises. Trump pardoned Bannon in January 2021, but presidential pardons apply only to federal charges, meaning New York is not prohibited from pursuing similar charges. I am proud to be a leading voice on protecting our borders, and building a wall to keep our country safe from drugs and violent criminals, Bannon said in Tuesday night's statement. They are coming after all of us, not only President Trump and myself. I am never going to stop fighting. In fact, I have not yet begun to fight. They will have to kill me first. Separately, Bannon was convicted of contempt of Congress after he refused to answer questions from the House January 6 committee. A jury found him guilty on 2 counts of contempt of Congress in July. A woman jumped from a moving car after being kidnapped by a man who asked for water, authorities say. Jeremy Alaska, 31, is accused of holding the woman at knife point in Washington state. Authorities in Washington state identified a suspect Tuesday who they say carjacked a woman and held her at knife point until she escaped by jumping from a moving car. The woman had given water to Jeremy Alaska, 31, after he approached her vehicle asking for some in an incident that began in Vancouver, Washington. Early Saturday, the Clark County Sheriff's Office said in a news release. Alaska is expected to be charged with kidnapping, robbery, and attempt eluding after he fled from officers, the sheriff's office said. The woman, who has not been identified, told authorities after she gave Alaska water, she allowed him into her car. Alaska produced a knife and used the threat of violence to take control of the car, the release alleged, adding that he drove roughly 15 miles to the city of Camas. Alaska slowed down on a dirt road, authorities said, and the woman jumped from the car and started banging on the doors of the nearby homes. A resident, James Wood, told NBC affiliate KGW of Portland, Oregon, that he and his family awoke around 4:30 a.m. to the sound of a woman pounding on the back door of his home and moving the doorknob. She was desperate to get in, which I can't understand, Wood told the station. She told me that someone tried to kill her and someone stole her car. Wood was told the station that he called 911 after deputies searched the area and found the car. The driver fled, according to the release. 11 minutes later, and about 8 miles away, authorities from the sheriff's office and the Vancouver Police Department were able to pin the car. And the release says Alexa was taken into custody after he tried to flee the vehicle. The release says he refused to provide his name and was identified through other names. The sheriff's office says it wasn't immediately clear whether he has a lawyer to speak on his behalf. Police say that they have found.
Turning now to breaking news in the investigation of that missing Memphis jogger and mother of two. Police confirmed today the body of 34-year-old Eliza Fletcher has.
Police say that they have found the remains of the missing jogger Eliza Fletcher. Memphis authorities have confirmed a body found during the search for Eliza Fletcher was identified as the 34-year-old woman who was abducted during a run Friday morning. NBC News' Chris reports on the news details police have released and the latest charges against the suspect charged with kidnapping Fletcher. And that is the end for today. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya. Oh, and by the way, all the tips I gave you last time, I hope it worked, because it worked for me, and I think that it worked for most people with average memory. I myself have average memory, and I couldn't learn anything besides English, because I hate everything. I hate every subject besides English. The only thing that I find English is interesting because it was another language, and I hate math. I hate math. I especially hate math, and I don't want to, calculate anything, and I not good at calculating things. So that's why I hate math. And about English is that when I was small, when I was about 9 years old, I watched Disney Channel a lot, and that is when I know I like English, because Disney Channel is all about English. If you don't understand English, so yeah, I watch it, and although I don't understand a word it was saying about what is the movie about and what it's called, I just remember the melody. Phineas the Verb, right? I just remember that the song in the intro song, right from the start. I remember the melody, the way they pronounce, but I don't know for sure how they pronounce it. So I just remember the melody and I sing along. So that is when I remember all the stuff and all the words that I accidentally remember by remembering the melody. So when I said that music can help you a lot, I mean it. So if you guys try it, and if you have any, positive resolve, comment below, and follow for more if you like my tips and you find it effective. So yeah, thank you and goodbye. Oh, one more thing. I also like English, and I only good at speaking, and I'm not good at grammar. Yeah, I also not good at grammar. I only good at speaking because I can, mumbling to the sound and you know, like for example, they sing like what's going on, so I will like mama mama. I remember the sound. I don't remember what they're saying, and I don't know what they're saying, but I remember the sound. So when I grow up, it means when I was in secondary school or something like that, I learned it and I know, oh, so that's what it is, that what it was about, and yeah, that's how I learned it. And I only good at speaking because I remember the basic words, the basic step that they say. For example, hello, how are you? How are you today? You're good? Are you good? How are you today? I'm good. Thank you for asking. You know, like just basic stuff, and I get better and better through movies. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I got. I don't know if I could help you with that, but I think for myself, I'm getting better, and you have to learn. You you cannot learn English without learning it. You know, without actually learning it. So you have to put time and effort into learning stuff, and eventually it will come out great. It will get you a positive result and a a very good result that you want. So don't give up and don't lose trust in yourself, especially when you find it hard. Just took a break. Just take a break and you know get some air, go outside, have fun with your friends for a day if you're feeling stressed about studying stuff. And after that, you get it together and yeah, just study, dude. That's it.